I give up, everybody. For the longest time, I've been searching and searching for the perfect camera, but I'm convinced it just doesn't exist. But I did pick up a camera that I'm quite happy with. Let me tell you about the Canon SL2. Okay, maybe I'm being a bit too critical on my perfect camera search. I mean, there are a lot of fantastic cameras out there. I was looking for a camera, either a DSLR or a mirrorless. I would love for it to shoot 4K, but that's not a deal breaker. I would also love for it to shoot 120 frames per second so I can slow it down and get beautiful footage and correct most of my mistakes. You know what I'm talking about? Right. I also wanted it to be somewhat cheap, around the $1,500 mark. Now that might be stretching it, of course. I wanted it to have good battery life. I wanted to have a flip screen and a touch screen. So maybe if you put all those things together, there are cameras out there that'll give you all those things. But most times they come out on the expensive end. And it was a little bit too expensive for me because I wasn't sure what camera to get. Then I found this camera, the Canon SL2, on sale. So I said, hey, let's pick it up and give it a try. My camera before this was the Canon Rebel T2i, long time ago. Picked it up when my daughter was 2 years old and I could no longer capture her in photos at 2 because she was running too quickly. I was trying to catch it on my phone or my little point and shoot, and she was too quick. She was a very quick 2-year-old. Anyways, we invested in the Canon Rebel T2i. It was a fantastic camera, shot HD video, did a lot of great things, but that's a very old camera and I needed to step up and get another camera. For my work, I'm able to use a whole bunch of fantastic professional cameras, the FS5, Canon C100s, full-size XD cameras. That's great. But for myself and my own YouTube needs, I needed a camera that could do some of the things that the T2i couldn't. And that's why I got the Canon SL2. So right when I picked up this camera, popped the battery in, and started checking it out and some of the features, I was very impressed. Sure, I did a little bit of homework before I bought it, but it was such a good deal that I had to get it and just see what it could do. My favorite thing is the autofocus on this thing. It's fantastic. You flip this screen, you turn it to you, touch it, boom, autofocus kicks in, fantastic. Something that most professional cameras that I have don't do, and I wish it did. And it was so responsive, it picked me up right away. It picked up when I was walking. It was fantastic, and I love that feature, and Canon does a great job of it, and it's in this camera for so cheap. Fantastic. It also has a 24 megapixel camera. It's an APS-C sensor. It's not a great big sensor, but that's okay. It also does a lot of other great things, but one of my favorite things is the lenses. You can use as many lenses as you can possibly think on this camera. You can use full-size Canon lenses. You can use smaller lenses. Anything you want to do with this for lenses. Now, it's not a 4K camera, that's okay, and it does not shoot 125 frames per second. It shoots 60 frames. When you slow that down in Premiere or Avid or Final Cut, it still looks fantastic, but it's not 120 frames per second, but that's okay. It's something that I wanted to work with and kind of grow with, and that was a pretty good thing to have in a camera. One of the other great things about this is the weight of this thing. It has to be the lightest DSLR in the market. It's fantastic. You don't have to lug a big camera around. This is the kit lens, of course, so the kit lens also doesn't weigh very much, so that's great. Sure, when you put the bigger Canon lenses on, the weight comes up, but that's fine. I'm able to deal with that. Having a light camera body to start off with is a fantastic thing. Now, I'm not the type of person who only uses Canons or Sonys. For me, whatever camera works for you, fantastic. Every camera that's made today is a pretty good camera. Whether it's Canon, Sony, Panasonic, Fuji, you name it. They make fantastic cameras, and they all have things that are really, really good about it, and all things that they're kind of missing. One of the best things about this camera is this touch screen. The fact that you can move it around, flip it out, and touch the focus, touch the pick your ISO, touch for your shutter and everything else is amazing. Coming from older cameras, The ability to have that is fantastic, and I hope more cameras do that. I know they're starting to do that. I know the Sony cameras are starting to do that. The Sony A6400 has the flip screen, but I'm telling you, it's not as good as this flip screen. This thing rotates, it turns out. Some people like that. If you're gonna be into vlogging, this thing's fantastic for vlogging. Set it up on a camera, you can watch yourself. Whether you wanna watch yourself, I'm not sure, but you can do it, and that's fantastic. So you can definitely vlog with this camera. The Canon SL2 is a very good vlogging camera if you choose to do so. With that touch screen and the autofocus, it makes it very easy to vlog. You just pop the screen out, you can check your shot, make sure everything looks good, white balance everything, and you're good to go. All you gotta do is walk and hold as steady as you can. Right now I'm using the 18 to 55 kit lens. I think you agree it's probably a little bit too tight, not wide enough. There's the 10 to 18 lens out there, might be great for this. Some people choose not to vlog with these things, and that's fine too. It's all up to you. One word of advice, if you do vlog with this camera, make sure you look at the lens and not the screen. If you look at the screen, it's a little odd. Anyways, after a little bit of practice, you'll get it down, no problem. Okay, so I told you about all the positives about this camera and how much I love it. But it does have some negatives. We talked about the lack of 4K, and we talked about the lack of 120 frames per second. We also talked about the smaller sensor. It's not a full frame camera. That's okay. We knew that going in, and for the price, you can't expect to pay that little and get all those features. But when I first picked this thing up, I was amazed. It was so easy to use. For the first time photographers, for the beginner photographers, videographers, you're gonna love this. And I'm not a person who only uses Canon or only uses Sony. Whatever camera works for you, fantastic, go for it. Every camera has a different aspect that you're gonna love and some that you're not gonna love. And that's okay. For this camera, I picked it up. The ease of use was fantastic. I loved it. I still love it using it today. Okay, so that's it for my quick little review of the Canon SL2 or the 200D, depending on where you live. I really enjoy this camera. It's got a lot of features that I like. When I picked it up, I used it, and isn't that the whole point of a good camera? You're using it and you like using it, and that's what this is. It's a camera that I really like using it. So what about you? Have you guys used this camera? Is it something that you're looking to buy in the future? Anyways, let me know in the comments if it's something you're interested in. I'm shooting here at Black's Rapids in Ottawa. It's on the Rideau Canal. It's a beautiful spot. It's just at golden hour. I'm just losing the light, as you can tell. But anyways, it's a fantastic spot and one of my favorites to shoot here in Ottawa. Anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like. If you like the video, give me the thumbs up. If not, that's okay. See ya. EOS, EOS, OS, 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 EOS, EOS, EOS. Why can't they just name it something a little simpler? The other weird thing is that in North America it's called the SL2, but in other places of the world it's called the 200D. What's up with that? Come on, Canon. Just pick a name and stick with it. How confusing is that for people? Actually, I think I prefer the name Canon 200D. Just sounds tougher than the SL2. What do you think?